This show contains language that is unsuitable for children.
Grant us love, filled with good intention. May we find peace in the midst of dissension. We not what they make us, though they try to break us. And say you love us, give you love. This is how.
Welcome to Straight Vibes, No Chasers. Raw talk on coming out of the closet about our fears and why we're so hell-bent on resisting our highest good. This podcast focuses on the African American experience concerning fear and our long-standing romance with mediocrity. You can follow and comment on the show topics on Instagram at SVNC_podcast or go to PennyMurray.com, where you can also find out more about Dr. Murray's work, her book, Giving Myself Permission, and the African American Council on Fear. Now, here's your host, Dr. Penny Murray.
Hey, and welcome to Straight Vibes, No Chasers from Dallas, Texas. First, I want to apologize for being so late with this post, but I haven't been slacking off because I've been busy with a fundraising campaign to open a new center I call the Learning Spa, Inner Wellness and Cultural Incubation Center. Now, while the fundraising didn't go as well as I had hoped, the exercise or the experience definitely stretched me. I learned a lot more about fundraising, but I also discovered a few things about myself. Now, let me just make a confession here. When my divine allies told me about the Learning Spa, I didn't wait for guidance. As usual, I just ran with the idea. And as usual, the outcome was meager. So I've been learning to get out of my own way by practicing the way of allowing. To be more specific, I've been practicing surrendering my ego so that I am more receptive to collaborating with my divine allies to bring things about instead of me running off with my intellectual self that most of the time I don't know shit. So anyway, I'm also wanting to stop pushing back and resisting when my divine allies start telling me certain things because they begin to take me in a certain direction right now. And I feel myself kicking and screaming. I am your host, Dr. Penny Murray, and you can find out more about the Learning Spa or help me in my fundraising efforts by visiting my website and selecting the Community Outreach tab. So I got to give a quick shout out to the Uplift Her organization and its founder, Porsche O'Neal. Uplift Her is based in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's dedicated to encouraging, inspiring, and uplifting all feminine energy types. Their overall goal and dedication is to stand in the gap for other women in the feminine energy and empowering that energy through community. The organization encourages us to live in our feminine truth. Their hashtag, I know her, is also a way for us as a broader community to communicate how proud we are to know a woman of strength, courage, and excellence, whether she knows it or not. And sometimes we need it for ourselves because we do a good job at encouraging others, but we women, we don't know how to turn around and use that same energy for ourselves. And so by that, I'm saying, even if it's you, hashtag I know her says, we see you. Now, you can find out more about Uplift Her at their website, uplifther365.com. In part 2 of the conversation at the dinner table with Porsche and Candice O'Neal, we're discussing things like men who find two women being together sexually stimulating, competition between the opposite sex within the LGBTQ plus community, becoming one, collaborating and aligning energies within the relationship. We talk about effectively communicating, which includes intracommunication and navigating the emotional baggage that interferes with our relational connection. We talk about their plans for having children as an LGBTQ plus married couple. And finally, we explore the question, why are you gay? This show is dedicated to my family members who are LGBTQ plus Americans. But before we get into that conversation at the dinner table, I gotta do my 2 cents, my contribution to Black History 365. The Harlem Renaissance, which flourished around 1919 to about 1935, was a cultural, artistic, and political movement. That era was full of brilliant LGBTQ plus African Americans that celebrated their works in art, film, music, and literature. Historian Henry Louis Gates once described the Harlem Renaissance as being as much gay as it was Black. The Black creatives of the Harlem Renaissance produced works that raised new questions about what was and was not respectable, what should and should not be considered the symbol of freedom, and what could and could not fit into the vision of Black liberation. In many ways, the Harlem Renaissance LGBTQ plus community reimagined Blackness and Black people's place in what was called the American Democratic Project. This period also emphasized the influence gay social networks had on the Harlem Renaissance development and the importance of sexual identity in fully understanding a person's work and their creative process. They created new forms of art and cultural expressions that examined how Black people's relationships to the state, communities, and each other could be articulated in radically different ways. Key LGBTQ figures of the Renaissance period, among others, were poet Langston Hughes, Countee Collins, Claude McKay, performers Ethel Waters, Edna Thomas, and Alberta Hunter, intellectuals like Alan Locke, literary salon owner Alexander Gumby, and sculptor Richmond Barthay. Their creative expressions of music, film, dance, poetry, literature, and art broke new ground that still reverberates through the African American LGBTQ plus culture today. There is a lot to be rediscovered about the enormous contributions LGBTQ plus Americans have made and are making throughout Americans' history. Now, for part 2, Don't See Your Fears, See Me, My Essence, a conversation at the dinner table with Porsche and Candice O'Neal. I thank you guys for coming back and doing the second half of this, because there's so much to just really absorb. Mm-hmm. One of the things that I wanted to ask is, there's a lot of men out there who who find no problem in two women being together.
Right.
And find it very sexy. But then those same men, if I went as a woman, a heterosexual woman, and had the same relationship with another man, he got all kinds of problems. Mm-hmm. But he finds it sexually stimulating when it's two women together.
Yeah. Yes. So, ironically, the young lady that I was dating in college before Candice and I met, there was a male relationship, and he disliked the young lady, because we stayed friends, while him and I was together. He disliked her, but he would want to know about our sexual experiences together with me and the young lady in the past. And I was confused. I was just like, well, you don't like her, so why are you asking me about it? Because it's, like you said, it's some type of turn on. And but because I'm a very tall and curvy woman, I get a lot of attention, especially from the male population. For a while, since I was 13, I'm 38 now. I will say I love it since 10/10/2020, which is when Candice and I got married, and it was the best day of our lives. Yes. That I get to say every time one of them try to hit on me, I'm married.
Yes.
Or better yet, I love to see their face. Oh, he, no, she, and they like, I'm sorry, what? No, she. Or like, yes, I'll let my wife know that you gave me a compliment. And they just, like, they looking stuck. Like, now in this moment, like, not just this moment, but it makes me very upset, because just thinking about men together, especially black men, you got two black men together, so it's okay for two black women to be together because it's sexy.
Yeah. When guys give me compliments, I say thank you. You know, if guys want to open up doors, thank you. Men, if you're opening up doors for women, keep that up. But some people do have insecurities as far as, you know, they don't want their woman being talked to or, you know, try to have the control over you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's discuss that because I don't give a damn who you're with. I have been in relationships where my male partner is jealous as hell.
Yeah.
I'm about freedom.
Yes.
I love my freedom. And when a man gets so damn jealous that it's possessive, and that's insecurity.
Oh, yes.
I had it from an ex-boyfriend and ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
You know, she's like,
it's very jealous. Jealousy is there.
And that's the insecurity. That's the person that has not done their self-work. And I'm a big advocate, and you gotta do your self-work.
Yes.
That if you are not doing your self-work to understand who you are, to get past your demons, and most of them are self-imposed, because we don't know how to give ourselves permission. This is who I am. How does my sacred expressive life force want to be seen, heard, felt by other people?
Exactly.
How do I occupy my space? And we don't know how to let that be, especially in the Black community.
There's also the person that you're with that can bring on insecurities within yourself as well. And on top of another thing that I love about Porsche is just like, she's not necessarily all out there just flaunting it. She's not seeking attention from these men or other women. You know, it just kind of just comes to her.
Yeah.
But there was a period of time where I didn't want, like, if you told me that you was a bisexual, I didn't want to deal with you because I had been burned so many times where I'm with somebody, with a woman, and then they leave me for a man. So then when I had to grow to get to where I am. But I ended up coming to, like, you know what, even if they do, like, men and women, because I thought as men as competition, but if they love me, then they love me. But if there's somebody else that they want to be with, then that's on them.
You know what? You just said something to see that within the gay community, the competition of the others. You're a woman, you see men as competition.
Used to.
Yeah, how many men see another woman as competition? That's some deep ass shit right there.
Because I've taken a lot of quote unquote straight women, you know, because it used to be back in my little day. You know, you say you straight, all right, that was a game for me. So that's why I don't go off on a man initially when they trying to, oh, you gay, let me try to see if I can get you. Yeah, so I mean, you know, there's those games.
Because it's like a conquest.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
So, we understand that. I mean, because if I'm with a man and a sister trying to holler at my man, I'm like, well, baby, I don't share good.
Okay.
Right? So to know that that's the same thing that happens within the gay community. That's light came on for me that gay men and women see the opposite sex as a competition. Wow, thanks for that. Oh my God.
So to kind of piggyback off that, a great film is called Pariah, and it goes through the life of a teenager. She's in high school that's finding herself, and she comes out to her family. But they have a scene to where a lady that is dressed in men's clothing, I guess the term, if you wanted to put a label on her, would be more of a butch. And, you know, there was older Black men that started talking down to her. Again, if you guys want to see more into the life of what it is to come out and live your truth and have support or not have support, that's definitely a great film filled with a lot of Black actors and actresses.
Talk about some of the challenges that you have in your relationships and how you have really worked through those. Portia's experience is quite different than yours as it relates to being accepted. You were able to be who you were early in your life, Candice, you know, with your mom. Where Portia, on the other hand, really had to...
It was a travesty. Oh, that's what it was made to say.
Yeah.
I had to be
You become one. The word becoming means there's a process involved.
Yes. So in our marriage, we go by there's a you, there's a me, and there's a us.
Yes.
Because I know that the becoming one, we're creating that one, but we also know that we are two individuals that are still trying to learn ourselves and learn ourselves with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And so we don't want to put each other in no kind of box, no kind of controlling type thing. We just want to allow each other the space to build the foundation, both for ourselves and for the us.
Mm-hmm. Portia talks about having to deal with her own baggage. Because she said that in the last episode, she had to really realize what the baggage that she was bringing to the relationship. Mm-hmm. So Portia, I really want to ask you, can you get more specific as to what baggage you were actually bringing, especially as related to communication?
You know what? Early on in relationships, I was not a communicator. Silenced by trauma. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to simmer on the communication part.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so as far as communication in our relationship, we definitely talk about everything.
Yes.
But my wife says it better than I do. But she says she speaks Japanese and I speak Spanish.
Yes.
We're speaking English, however, we're just not understanding what we're trying to say, and it gets so frustrating. And I'm usually a runner, but even though she says that she kind of got silenced while growing up, she ain't silent no more. She wants to know.
Because it's like a muscle. So I feel like early on in relationships that I didn't really speak, but now I knew more of who I was, and I was able to speak more on things. So now I'm more detail oriented than I ever have been. So Candice is not.
One of the things that's so important in a relationship is communication.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We learned early on in our relationship, according to our astrological signs, that communication was going to be our biggest downfall.
Mm-hmm. You guys have been here for the last couple of days. I heard each one of you use the term, what you need.
It was refreshing to actually have I don't really use this term much, but a partner to ask me that. And I think that's one of the things that I ran away from. And it was like shocking to know that somebody like genuinely.
There's a level of your personal responsibility to you to meet your own needs.
Yes.
But there are certain things that you want your partner to at least collaborate in there. Too often as Black women specifically, we're all about everybody else's needs. Mm-hmm. But when we start talking about what do you need, most of them know what the hell we need.
No. Yeah, it's funny that we actually go back and forth. It doesn't happen too often, but it's like, well, we could be like trying to pick out a restaurant. I was like, what do you want? And it's like we will hold back what we want to do because we're trying to please the other person. And the other person's looking at us like, I know what you're doing in your head. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like, just say and communicate exactly what you want to do. You don't have to hold back because we're being kind of conditioned to.
Think of when you start talking about communication, talking Japanese versus Spanish. Mm-hmm. What's really behind that I'm not being able to clearly communicate to you?
Exactly.
A lot of times we don't ask the questions that we really want to know. We're like, we'll dance around it.
Yeah.
And then just start looking at each other like that's not really what you want.
But that causes the frustration. Yeah. But we're trying to make sure that each other is good, and I've never have had that. Even though it still causes frustration and friction.
They were talking to me yesterday about some argument they got into, and neither one of them know what the hell. And they both were talking about this was a time where we were gonna walk out with each other, we were gonna call it quits. And I said, well, what was it about?
That happens.
But I do remember being heated.
Well, we don't
remember.
But even in that, were you able to say, listen, you know what? I need some space right now. I need a day or two, just lay off.
And she gave it to me, like without a problem.
Well, that's growth for me because in my younger relationships, what orientation they were, I was just like, no, you're gonna talk about stuff when I want you to talk about it. I'm ready to talk about it, and not allowing the other person that.
And there's fear in that communication. If you're not talking when I need you to talk, then I start being fearful.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, you start really sabotaging shit.
Yeah.
Instead of just Okay, you need some space.
Yeah.
But the first thing we go to, our egos tell you, you know what, you're not worthy.
Yeah.
But when you're not able to communicate and you don't trust the love that you have between each other.
Cause I ain't going nowhere.
You said that many times from day one.
Yeah.
I scolded my niece yesterday because she did say something, but she used a phrase about I'm gonna leave or something like that.
Oh yeah, because
It's a playful
Because I just
manner,
be
but
playing. I literally, when I say this, I just want to see the look on her.
she get on my nerves. She get on my nerves.
But and literally, I have there's no tie to it emotionally when I say
Right.
this. I just be like, I say it and I look at her.
That one
But
time.
I said
that
to
one
you,
time.
that one time you
Yeah.
said that she did it.
Yeah.
So I said you need to stop putting that out in the energy
Yeah.
because you may hit her wrong one day. And that's what she
Yeah.
said. Yeah, that already happened.
No.
Yeah.
But this still is for better or for worse.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to divorce. Put that out there again, okay? No
Yes.
annulment. I don't know what the annulment timeline is.
Oh, y'all
None of
past
that.
that.
We have passed that. See, sorry fighting.
Being able to respect what that other person is communicating
Yeah.
without the garbage. If you are bringing baggage along with you, past relationships, childhood trauma, the trauma from racism and stereotyping, all of that plays and weighs heavily on the African American psyche. When you're putting out that energy of, even though you say you're playing, I just don't think that that's an element that you said, I'm going to leave you, I'm out of here. Yes, you want to see her reaction, but she might be in that space, and that's not the good space that she wants to hear that in.
Yeah, I told myself to stop doing that, even especially after the serious moment that we've had, because I like to. I'm sorry, my DNA is to be a butthole, like.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this
that's
is funny.
Taurus. I mean, you know,
You say so.
I just had to. I mean, I'm sorry for your listeners, but I'm with a Taurus, okay? That's all I got to say. And I'm an Aries.
I know. I still need to stop. You're right, Auntie. I need to stop doing that because it's not right. It's not fair.
We talked about vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
She might be in that vulnerable place. You don't know where her head is, or especially when she's going after a dream of hers. Just because you want to see how somebody's going to react.
It's funny.
That shit ain't cute.
Yeah,
You know?
It's sometimes I do get to laugh, you know, just playful. We're very playful. It's fun, but you know, it can't, like you said, if we're putting that type stuff out into the universe, then sometimes like
there has been times where one has been playful to me,
And the other one ain't.
and then she is real serious, Candice, and then I was like, wait a minute, I thought he was
But I think that's your defense mechanism though as well, right? When it's like you get, where maybe if I make you uncomfortable or something, then you just feel like you just have to say something, like is that what it is?
So yeah, let's talk about the baggage.
So what happened to me was
What happened was,
you know, I don't know, for some reason, and I'm gonna go ahead and call it baggage, but it was I guess call it low self-esteem. Like I did not have the bar set high at all for myself, as in who I wanted as my partner. So I was with a deadbeat mom, I was with a drug dealer, I was with a stripper, I was with an alcoholic. And it's like, oh, dang. You know,
she's equal employment.
wow.
I'm sorry.
No chaser, like, and so you know what? And one day, like in church, while I was with the last one, I was just like, something ain't right. You know, I'm in church, but I see this young lady in the choir. Thought she was just beautiful, and so you know, trying to figure out like who this woman was, because she was like she was in the choir, then all of a sudden she was the director, and then all of a sudden she disappeared. Now she's like doing praise dance and stuff, and then I see her in the hall like passing out flyers. I'm like, she just had her stuff together. I said, you know what? I need to set my bar so much higher
Right.
than what I have. And then here come Porsche. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, so that's the baggage of low self-esteem, and just seeing that, you know what, I don't deserve somebody like Porsche. I didn't deserve somebody like that. That's a very good question. Oh, I think I was just attracting those type people just because in my head was just, maybe I was just evil.
So you didn't associate with me being gay, this is maybe my karma or something like that?
I'm always saying I'm like getting punished. Yeah.
So that you gotta stop that too.
I do have to stop. Portia tells me that all the time. I have to stop saying that. It's not a punishment.
At the end of every show, I'm always reminding people, you are not the victim. You are always a student.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is life teaching you or preparing you for? Because that's your spiritual agreement.
Yeah.
And so when we say, something wrong with me, this is karma, those are the kinds of things that I'm learning to not communicate to myself. So we talk about communication as it relates to each other, external others, but we never think about the conversation or the communication that we are having internally with ourselves. Portia, I see that look. So what is that? What just went through your head?
It's just, sometimes it's the rawness of stepping in front of the mirror. Sometimes you need that. It's kind of like you just need that, like in your face type of. That's the communication you need.
So let's talk about that. The intra-communication that you have to have with yourself, or what was the process of the conversation to get to the space of this is who I am.
I remember some years ago, because I'm just being transparent. I've been engaged twice. The first time, yes. And I remember that moment of being engaged the first time. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to save my wife. And my heart was like racing. That it was an unfamiliar territory. It was like, well, this is again, all the feelings like this is wrong. People have told me this is wrong. Da 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 da. Now, I'm proud to say this is my wife. When I tell you that I prayed for Candice, this is exactly, people they be like, God's not real, and try to respect people's views on religion and, higher powers and everything like that. But when I put it out there in the atmosphere and God received that prayer and he turned around, and it didn't even take long, okay? Right. And he just was like, bam, and here she is.
Yeah. But I've said this before, he showed up when you were in your path of purpose.
Exactly.
I want people to be clear on this, because we be sitting on the sideline. I'm waiting for that person. Yeah. I'm waiting for this. I'm waiting for that. No, you got to get out there
for sure
and be meeting your spiritual agreements. And while you on your path, then they're on their path, and the paths intersect. Even in that portion, let's be honest, in straight vibes, no chasers. You had to do your self-work. And going back to the communication that we have internally with ourselves, people need to understand how vital inner communication is.
Yes, it really is. And a lot of times I do run from the communication within myself. But then at the same time, I'm just like, I am me. If you love it or you hate it. Yeah.
So when you talk about you run from the communication, what type of communication are you running from?
The negativity. I'm just like, you know what? I'm an imposter. All right, I've played volleyball, I've coached volleyball on and off for 20 years. But here I am still thinking that I don't know nothing.
So you're basically running because imposter syndrome is chasing you.
Imposter syndrome is chasing me. Okay, like that's,
Again, baggage. That's that inner communication that we bring to our relationships.
Oh, yes. From other relationships or from ourselves, or like you said, childhood trauma. Yeah. And that's one of the things that, and Candice mentioned this on the other episode, that's the space that we allow each other to process. Because early in our relationship, I didn't realize I hadn't processed other relationships.
That's the one thing that I talk about, the emotional side of success. And that's where the inner communication comes in at. The conversation and the language that I use internally is going to come out in my relationships.
Oh, yeah.
So, Portia, you were saying there was times that you have to check yourself when you're actually saying certain things that may be condescending in a way.
Yeah, because it goes back to the UVS. Like, I'm not trying to put my crap off on her, and I think that that's a mistake that I made in other relationships, is doing that. And that's my responsibility in those past relationships, is that I put my crap on them, and you can only take so much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But what I'll do is, whenever I sense that there's something going on with her, or she's like, snapping at me, I would just be like, all right, there's something that you got going on. So I'm going to go the opposite way. I love you. Deal with that. But you know what? As your partner, I'm not going to take it personally.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to take it personally. All right. Something's going on with you. You deal with that.
Right. There's been times where I'm like, let me take a long drive home.
Yeah.
Because it's not you, it's me.
Literally.
Okay. Like that really is a thing.
That is a
guys.
thing.
You know, it really is a thing sometimes. Yeah.
So when we're talking about communication, there is that people will ask, why are you gay?
I don't know why people need to have to, they feel like they have to figure out why we're gay. A lot of people are born this way. And some people just want to experiment. Mm-hmm. And some people, I don't know, you say that if they chose to be gay, like who wants to choose getting talked about?
Yeah.
Who wants to choose getting disowned?
Yeah.
Killed. Yeah, but a lot of people do want to say, okay, you know what? All right, you didn't have a father growing up. All right, that might be it. Or you were molested when you were
that's a big
younger.
one.
That's a huge
big one.
That's a
big one within the black male community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I know. Doesn't matter why. I'm trying to see, do I even deal with it? Or I be like, well, that's y'all problem.
How long did it take you to get to that space?
You know what? Honestly, once again, I am very fortunate. But once I knew that my mama didn't really trip, I didn't care what nobody else said. And then also, my sister's gay. You know, she's married to a woman.
What about your father?
I don't care about that dude. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, but that might be like that's why she's gay, because she didn't have her father in her life.
For me, I don't think, and I'm sure that's been presented in the conversation that was had about me. But I think it's not about what I didn't have, it's about what I did have. I seen strength and femininity surrounded by me, and I thought that was so attractive.
Yeah.
I was raised by a strong black woman. I had 4 strong black aunts. I mean, yes. I had 2 strong black grandmothers that, thank God, they are still in the land of living. That's attractive to me. Like, why wouldn't I want to be protected, provided for by this type of person? Because that's what I know.
So then I asked the question again, straight vibes, no chasers. I saw the same thing. Right. I have the same images in my mind as far as the strength of a black woman.
Uh-huh.
I admire strong black women. If it wasn't for black women in many situations, the black community would falter even more, but yet I'm not gay.
Not into that. Right. Don't they kind of say like, hey,
it's crazy how your psyche will decide to go one way or another. Just like if you were molested by the same sex, that may be a reason. It may not. You might just decide that you don't want to ever experience that again, or you don't want to put that on anybody else, or you might want to be an advocate for it. It's so interesting how your psyche will choose on which path to go after you experience something, pretty much. Just going back to the stereotype of either molested or fatherless home, I met this gentleman in Little Rock, Arkansas. I haven't talked to him in a few years, but I love him to pieces because that man just was a full expression of himself. And his mother, and I've had many conversations with her, she's like, I knew from day one that he liked men. And so I was like, okay, so because I'm still trying to wrap my head around who I am.
Right.
But she was like, yeah, I knew from early on when he was like, between the ages of 3 and 5, I knew this.
Wow.
Did you struggle with that, knowing that other people were openly accepting of it, and then you didn't get it? Was there some feeling about that?
Yes. I've asked, it's many nights I've cried out, not here recently, I'm not gonna lie, but I've asked, why me? Why am I placed in this family? Not necessarily like the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents, but like my home base, the immediate family of mother, no father, but my brother. Like, why did I get placed in this? But I am to be here. I still don't know exactly why. I feel like the strength that I have to say this is who I am is not only helping me and ministering to me, but it is ministering to my nieces and nephews. It's ministering to all the other family members that feel like they just can't come out. Like they have to be shackled into this something else, that this facade that the world or their family says they have to be.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just oversaturated. Like, it doesn't even matter.
It
Like,
doesn't.
you said this on the last episode, it doesn't even matter. Like, stop oversaturating. This is not even what life is about.
God. Because what's so, now that
we got some real shit to deal with.
I was just going to say that. Like, I mean, we got this whole racism thing going on.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, COVID, unemployment. I mean, there's so much more meaningful shit that we need to do work on.
That's the thing. It's because they want to stay on the surface.
Yeah.
Scraping the surface all the time. They don't want to go deeper.
Yeah.
The variations of love is amazing.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, but love in its of itself and its truth is just love. It doesn't. It may come in various forms, rhythms, flows, but love is love. I really would love to see us move away from the stigmas, stereotypes, and labels, and to understand these are just two people that they found their flow. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
I know you and Porsche have talked about having children.
Yes.
And how do you make the decision, again, excuse your auntie's ignorance, but how do you make the decision as to who carries the baby? Both of you are capable.
Man. Yes, and it has been a challenge.
The same sex with women is like these other terms. You know, you got film, soft film, hard, but you know, all of that. But you kind of know in advance this is a more of a feminine woman than a masculine woman. So the feminine woman is probably going to be the one that's, agrees to carry.
Yeah.
That's not always the case. There's a lot of masculine women that decide, you know what, for whatever reason, whether they were solo and they want a child, or their more feminine partner, couldn't or didn't want to. Because not just because you're a woman doesn't mean that you want to have kids. Like my wife said, just discussion.
Yeah.
And she said she would if she had to, and if I couldn't. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's deep now.
Yeah. Literally.
This has just been amazing for me to be able to be in a safe environment, at the dinner table, educating myself on this. This has just been such an honor. I just want to know how you have felt for the show.
I'm excited about this conversation. I think it opens it up for other conversations. I'm not gonna lie. As I'm sitting here, I'm like, what's gonna happen when the family hears this? At the same time, I don't know how else to say it. I hope they can take this and learn from it, whether it be our family or anybody else's family that just had one of their family members come out to them and they just don't understand. Show up and love them. And you may not understand because let's be for real, they didn't always understand what you was doing either. And it seems like freedom, I'm not gonna lie, like, oh my gosh, that just come out of my mouth, but it's like, own it. Yeah, that's what I really feel. I hope that my boldness, not just in this show and being who I am as far as sexual orientation or my wife or in entrepreneurship, just be bold in it. Or my love of God, be bold in it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. No, I really did enjoy this experience because I do want to help others, and I feel like that Porsche and I were put together so we could do this with the allies of arts, with this amazing platform.
There was something I wrote in my book about how it's important when you are in a relationship, you should look at that relationship as not just the satisfaction of the two of you. That relationship came together to also elevate the world. Yes, we love each other, we enjoy each other, but the sanctification, the sacredness of this relationship is beyond the two of us. It also is to do something within the community and help other people as well. Every day I wish for that same kind of love for myself. Because I've sucked at that situation.
This just wasn't, those situations weren't.
I'm a handful. You gotta be the right person. You gotta come correct.
He is out there. He is definitely out there.
But like I said, I noticed you were really active in your spiritual agreement. You're on your path and then the intersection happens.
Yes.
what's the one thing you would love for people to know?
That we have more similarities than people realize.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, people just want to be accepted. We just want to be accepted for who we are, and we want to have people continue to be open to when we have conversations about our relationship or, the things that we do together, just be open to it.
I just say, if anybody is struggling with anything, whether it's trying to become an ally or if you're trying to figure out what letter of the alphabet you are a part of in the community or not, because there's titles, but then there's also a title to not be titled. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of confusion going on.
I think that's what our story is. I think a lot of people need that strength of those letters. I'm just being for real.
Okay.
Yeah, to really this fits who I am.
Mm-hmm.
They need the strength of that. I think that we don't really do labels, and there's a lot of people that's like that, but I think that strength of those letters help.
You're right. Once I listen to this, maybe 10 years from now, I will be like, okay, maybe I will know a whole bunch more about the other letters in our community. Yes, but just find yourself and let's focus on thriving.
There is so much to this community that I don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
And it gave me a sense of, okay, stop beating myself up.
Yeah.
When you guys said, well, we don't know everything about it. I'm like, oh my God, thank you.
We're people.
We still watching documentaries on and learning the history of,
and pressing pause and trying to figure out what did we just see?
And learning the history of the community, whether it be from the trans to watching the Pride, the documentary that we were talking about on Hulu that had the early history of gays. And so we still learning stuff too.
Just for real, be you, no matter what. And if there's anybody that is around you that has a problem with that, just separate yourself from them and let them catch up to you.
Yeah. All right. Well, again, I thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
All righty.
That music means it's time for The World According to Penny. Now, in my closing thoughts, I want to just recap specific comments that caused me to ponder days and weeks after our conversation at the dinner table. For instance, Candice said at the end, she says, be you no matter what. If anyone has a problem with that, just separate yourself from them and hopefully they'll catch up to you. Now, but what impacted me was to separate yourself and hopefully they'll catch up. Without a doubt, it's not easy to separate ourselves from loved ones or significant others because we do want them to accept us for who we are. But on the flip side of that, far too many of us have allowed this desire for acceptance to force us to live an acceptable lie than to live our beautiful truth. And that's a dilemma that it's something that we all go through. But the truth has a way of coming to the surface to reveal itself. And the fallout of living an acceptable lie is far worse than telling our beautiful truth from the very beginning. Fact is, it's not about your sexual orientation. It's about the truth you tell yourself and how you live that truth, taking ownership of the self you are and embracing that we are exactly as Elohim created us. That is our greatest purpose in life. Elohim's not fooled by anything we do. They knew us long before we entered our mother's womb and sees the essence of who we are, perfection. Another question we explored that has stuck with me was, why are you gay? Now, Candice brought to the surface that many times we say the reason why people are gay is because they were without something. But Portia's response still has me pondering the impact of what she said. And she said, it's not what I didn't have, but what I did have. I found strength in a community surrounded by strong Black women, which was so attractive to me, she said. I was raised by a strong Black woman. I have 4 strong Black aunts and 2 strong Black grandmothers. That is attractive to me. So why wouldn't I want to continue to be protected and provided for by this type of person? Because that's all I know. Now, as I said, that response from Porsche was profound, and I am still processing the implications of that statement because there is something there, and I'm just asking my divine allies to separate and speak to me on that fact, because that was really, I didn't expect for that answer to come about at all. Another thing that stuck with me was the why me question. And Porsche also said, why me? Why am I placed with immediate family members that are unacceptant of my truth? Her experience, she says, though, has helped her learn to take ownership of her inner truth. And it is also beginning to minister to her soul. Porsche also went on to say it's shaping her ability to help others break free from feeling that they have to remain shackled to a facade that pleases the world and their family. And you know what? No doubt that is what has inspired her and drives her in her work with Uplift Her and just the hashtag I know her. See, because too often we think the painful experiences are about us. But I've learned, just as Porsche is beginning to learn, it's never really about us. Instead, every heartache, every unpleasant, hurtful event is to prepare us for purpose. Before we can be effective messengers of spirit, we have to first be the best students of the message that we're intended to give, which leads me to something I'm always saying. You are never the victim of life. You are always the student of purpose. So what skills or higher consciousness are you learning? What task or message are you being prepared for? I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of Straight Vibes, No Chasers. And I certainly hope you will keep listening and grow with me in this journey. If you like the show, leave me a comment. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the podcast and tell a friend about it. I'd really appreciate that. Also, visit my website, pennymurray.com, for more information about my work and how you can support or be a part of the dialogue on Straight Vibes, No Chasers. Again, thanks for listening. And as always, I leave you with my closing assertion for your life. You are as Spirit created you, endowed with power and authority to manifest positive outcomes and the divine wisdom to bring about meaningful change. Give yourself permission to think, trust, create, speak, and live your life's truth. Ashe.
You've been listening to Straight Vibes, No Chasers with Dr. Penny Murray. Listen and subscribe to our podcast from your mobile device with your favorite podcast app. If you have any questions, topic ideas, comments, or want to invite Dr. Murray to speak at your next event, go to contact us at pennymurray.com. If you're in the North Dallas, Texas area, we invite you to become a member of the Inner Wellness community by taking part of the African American Council on Fear.